Hello and welcome to the show. This week's Downhill Chaos. It's the turn of the Supercars after the Infernus put in a rather impressive time last week. I got some more Supercars and going to give them a go. I was going to use a Bullet last week actually as one of the cars. However, I couldn't find the blooming thing at all. It looked for ages to find it. It just wasn't spawning. And then typical, when I went off, I literally loaded up this game and the first civilian car I saw, or sort of normal traffic car, was one of these. So it's the turn of the Bullet. First attempt, I managed to find, I didn't even know there was a rock that I could crash into. At that point, never noticed that one before. I started to have some problems fairly early on with a rather twitchy car. Kind of muddled my way through the sort of the first section, and yeah, this is an interesting car to try and drive. In the end, I had a bit of a spin going over a hill. Seen that happen a few times to cars. I'm not entirely sure what causes it. I think the back of the car lifts it, or can lift up quite a lot over there, and it puts the car into a spin. But yeah, I've seen a few cars have problems there. It doesn't quite have the brakes of the Infernus either, as I'll brake myself into here, and then I fell off the course again. Just trying to carry a little bit too much speed. The Bullet is not a bad car. I think it's one of the very, very overlooked supercars in this game. It's not the fastest of the supercars. Probably one of the weaker cars in the supercars category. It doesn't quite have the grip or the brakes of the Infernus. Spins quite well. It's a little bit twitchy. It is a little bit difficult in places to control. Doesn't really like the bumps. Of course, it's a very fast road car, low stiff suspension, as you would get with any supercar. But yeah, it really does struggle sometimes with the bumps. In this case, it was just me taking a slightly odd line and ended up having the car on two wheels in the air while going down a very narrow sort of path. Not good idea. You often fall off. That corner there can be quite tricky for some of the supercars. The Bullet, it was no exception. It was very easy to get this thing on two wheels. Again, having more problems with the bumps. Just clip that bump a tiny bit wrong, threw the car around a lot. Not seen that happen before, particularly with a car. It just put it out of shape before taking the jump. This certainly wasn't the easiest of supercars that I've run down here. Just missed my braking point, and yeah, I got a little bit close on that one. I just about had enough steering to get away with it. Again, this sort of section down here was proving problematic. I tried to turn for the little side part. I just couldn't get the car to turn. It sort of hit a bump and was trying to go the opposite way. Had no other choice but to take the wrong route. And as we round the final corner, the car kicked out. I don't know what caused it to have sudden oversteer. They don't normally have that. Manages to crash into the rock before the finish line, which was not the cleverest thing I've ever done. Things were going a little bit smoother. This run got a very fast sort of corner before the hairpin and then promptly ballsed it up. If I'd sort of turned a fraction later, that would have been an amazing line through that corner. As it happened, it didn't quite work. Nearly got away with it, but not quite. Again, this was the part that the car did not like. I managed to do almost a backflip from hitting a Cougar. It did not like that jump. Throwing a Cougar into the mix as well doesn't help, especially not when the front of the car is starting to lift up anyway. You hit a Cougar, and yeah, you can have problems. I do try my best to avoid sort of animals and hikers. They will screw up your run. They'll slow you down and they can throw you off course. So I do my best to try and avoid them, but you can't really do much when it runs out in front of you. The bushes also have an effect on the cars. Not a massive effect. It was enough though to cause this, which is, well, it caused quite a spectacular crash from some... Yeah, basically the car got thrown slightly off course by some bushes. Tried my very best to catch it, and I just couldn't quite get it slowed down and turned in time before the final bit, and it ended up throwing it in quite a spectacular crash. However, after a while, I did get a clean run with the Bullet. Certainly not the hardest car to drive down the mountain, but it's not the easiest. It's not as easy to drive off-road as the Infernus. It's not quite as quick. The brakes aren't quite as sharp. They're still good, don't get me wrong. It's still a quick car, but no, the brakes aren't quite as sharp as the Infernus. It doesn't quite have the grip. On the plus side, it is probably the least likely vehicle to roll of all the supercars. You will still see it picking up two wheels as you go around some of the faster corners. It is still possible to roll it, but it's not as bad as most of the supercars. I guess that's suggesting this car doesn't quite have as much grip. I was expecting this to deal with the bumps a little bit better than it did I would imagine, at least, that this car should be one of the heavier supercars, and yeah, it gets thrown about an awful lot more than perhaps I would expect. Almost got that jump wrong. Just watching how much the car is moving around in the air is always a little bit scary. Unfortunately, couldn't do anything about the hiker there. You do see that you lose a bit of speed when you hit the things wandering around. Again, was a bit lucky. It was starting to go out of control by the time I got it down the sort of the narrow path, and it's around the final corner. It is getting bumped about all over the place. It's a nasty bump down there, around the last corner and across the line, and we're losing control and we've rolled it. Well, it can crash once it's crossed the line. That's fine. Yeah, we've seen a couple of the vehicles have issues with jump. I guess it was just taking them really fast with the more powerful cars. So the Bullet made it down the mountain. Certainly not the easiest of cars to drive down here. Up next, it is the Entity XF. A lot of people wanted to see me drive this car for a while, so I'm going to give it a go. This is probably the second fastest car overall in the game. The Adder is... I reckon the Adder is probably the fastest in general. The Voltic is very, very quick accelerating, but on long straights. It will get beaten by the Adder and by this. This is a pretty damn quick car overall. Most people online will have either one of these or an Adder in their garage. They're a very popular choice of a car. And yeah, it's a blooming quick car, this thing. Pretty good on the brakes. Certainly better than the Bullet, considering this is going to be going faster into a corner. May have tried to carry a little bit too much speed and ended up going left into a right-hander. You definitely don't want to do that. That's not a good position to be in. The second attempt, things may have gone wrong. Right from the start, I floored it, got an awful lot of airtime, and the car wasn't very happy with the landing, so we go round in a circle. I've recovered it and got it back on the road, but no, that's not a good start to a run when you're doing that. Again, having problems down on this final section. I think what it is with the supercars is you end up taking some of these sort of jumps far too fast, and it goes absolutely berserk on that attempt. Yeah, you're just taking some of these jumps a lot quicker than you're expecting. So when you're landing, either the back of the car's lifting up from some of them, or in this case, I sort of landed out of position, ended up on two wheels, and sort of flipped around. Yeah, it makes them very difficult to drive because you have to kind of slow down quite a lot for some corners. This one was just me taking a poor line. Like the second I turned into that corner, I realised I've buggered it up. And it's the most annoying thing because I know that I'm going to have a crash. Like that millisecond after I've turned in, I know it's going to have a crash, and there's nothing I can do about it because I've already committed to it. Yeah, as I was saying, speed in these cars is one of the big problems, if you like. You end up taking jumps. You see there, I just took the jump a lot faster than I thought I was, or thought I was going, and yeah, then you end up just sort of losing control. Again, this is another supercar with low suspension, and yeah, it doesn't really like the landing of the jumps. In that case, it was actually, I was sort of starting to lose control of it before I take a jump. With that jump, if you're not taking it absolutely straight, you're going to have a pretty big problem. Again, going very fast through this first. I wasn't having too many problems in the first section with this car. Had a big two-wheel moment at the hairpin. I managed to save it. Unfortunately, in saving it, I fell off the mountain. That's pretty much damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I hadn't saved it, I would have rolled off the mountain. But in saving it, I drove it off the mountain. It's a shame. I would love to have kept that going, because that would have been an awesome run if I managed to finish it. Again, having a bit of problems over the jump. That jump was causing a lot of problem for the supercar. I think what it is, as I said, you sort of come around that corner, it's a bit bumpy, and the car ends up a tiny bit out of shape before you hit the jump, and then when you hit the jump, if you land it even slightly awkwardly in a supercar, it's just going to kind of spin you around. Anyway, after a while, it took about the same amount of time to get the Entity to the bottom of the mountain as it did with the Bullet. This is a quicker car in general. It's faster accelerating, at fast top speed. I'm pretty sure it's got better brakes than the Bullet. Does have quite a lot of grip as well. Through this first section, it really wasn't a problem with the Entity. I didn't have very many problems with the first section. It was further down. It was some of the landings of the jumps that were causing issues. Have big slides through here. Don't quite get it turned in as nicely as I'd like through that corner. It's very rare to get it nicely turned in for there because there's a very large bump on the inside that kind of forces the car sort of around the outside of that corner anyway. I get a little bit lucky through here, just kind of starts getting bounced around on that landing. Again, it's another jump with a bit of an awkward landing. On that occasion, clipping the rock face sort of helped me. It kind of helped turn the car. You see, over this jump, if you can get a nice sort of straight takeoff, it's not too much of a problem. Didn't really want to be getting that much airtime. Again, you can see how much of the time this car spends in the air. The back wheels are up in the air as well. Down this final section, that's what causes problems with these very fast cars, is you're just losing control of it at critical points. You're only losing control of it for a very brief second, but it's enough to sort of throw you off the road. Go around the final corner, and the entity is across the line, and goes quite a long way when we take the jump. Shows you how fast accelerating this car is out of that final corner to have gone that distance over the final jump. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward to drive down the mountain is his car, but it's a supercar. It's certainly no worse than anything else, and it's not particularly surprising. Our third and final vehicle for today is the Cheetah. This is probably my favourite vehicle in GTA. I do quite like the Jester as well, but this is certainly the vehicle I use the most in GTA Online. I do like my Cheetah. I like it because it's maybe not quite as fast. It's still blooming quick. Not quite as fast as the Entity. It's certainly a bit rarer. People tend to spend their money on an adder or an Entity rather than one of these. And I think it looks really good. I think it's one of the best looking cars in GTA. As far as off-road goes, this car surprised me. This car was really rather easy to drive off-road. Now, I'm not sure if it's a combination of this is the last car to go today, having me having driven two other supercars. Okay, things got a little bit awkward on that jump. Again, I just sort of took the jump awkwardly and then couldn't land it because I was going far too fast and fell off the mountain. But that was on my first attempt, and I got quite a long way down. Yeah, I can't decide if it's a combination of, well, it's probably a combination of this being the final supercar of the day, and I drive this car an awful lot on GTA Online, so I do kind of know this car quite well. Still having problems on this final section. It's all out of control. I've sort of caught it about 3 times on there, got away with it, and eventually there's a hidden bump behind a bush somewhere. I've hit it a few times now. There's another example of me just hitting that bump that you can't see while you try and get the vehicle back on track. Again, hitting another bump a bit awkwardly, and just couldn't stop my car for the corner. We do a few barrel rolls and land on the ground. With these supercars, if you make sort of the tiniest of mistakes, the tiniest of misjudgments, you might not have a problem at the next corner, but it will probably screw you up a couple of corners down the line and will throw you off the track there. Again, we're going over the jump backwards. That's a new position, a new angle to take that jump. Still having trouble getting the car under control, finally do. But of course, the run is gone by then. Yeah, the Cheetah was... It was pretty good off-road. It dealt with the bumps a lot better than I expected. It dealt with them better than some of the other cars. Of course, it would still get thrown around. It is still a supercar. I tried to get away with that one, and I just couldn't get the car turned enough because it was being bounced around. We end up having the Cheetah parked in a place. I don't think we've ever had a car go off there before. It wasn't long, though, before I got a decent run out of the Cheetah. As I said, this is quite a good car off-road. Okay, it's still got its problems. It's a supercar. It's not as good as, you know, the likes of your Dune buggy. However, it was pretty good through this section. Again, it's a very, very fast car. The brakes are very good. Has plenty of grip. I didn't actually have any real problems with this car lifting up on 2 wheels. Although, yeah, I'm sure that it would if you gave it the chance. I just didn't have any particular problems with it because we've got plenty of big slides going on down this corner around the hairpin. Again, you see when I hit that bump on the inside, it's just forcing the car a little bit wider than I'd like. Absolutely nothing that I can do about that one, unfortunately. Being very slow over this jump now. I've kind of learned to take that jump a bit slower, and then you'll have a better run through these next corners. If you take that jump just too fast, you end up overshooting and cause yourself a real problem for the corners around there. This jump here was pretty evil. I thought I might be in trouble with the back of the car jumping around like that when I took the jump, but got away with it. I landed it, which is all good. Coming up towards the final section now. There's always scary when you land that, especially when you land it as nose down, as I did there, because you really don't want the back of the car going up in the air and you losing sort of all control of your vehicle. Around the second to last corner is a little bit bumpy down here, as you can see. Throws the Cheetah around, and around the final corner we are across the line, and then we do a front flip. But I don't know why the car decided it wanted to do a front flip over that finishing jump. Unfortunately, a tree got in the way. Yeah, I don't know what caused it to do that. But the Cheetah got to the bottom of the mountain probably the easiest supercar I've ever had to drive off-road, although that could be the fact that I've driven this car quite a lot. But yeah, the Cheetah was pretty damn good off-road. However, when it comes to the time, it is the Entity that sets the new fastest time for a road car with a 1:18.9, but that is not very much faster than the Infernus. Not very much at all faster than the Infernus, and I definitely think the Infernus is a bit easier to drive off-road, but still a very quick time from the Entity, the first road car to get under a 1:19. The Cheetah also puts in a pretty good time. I would like to have seen it higher up because I do like that car. Still not bad, doing a 1:20.4. It's 2 seconds quicker than a Bifter, which is, yeah, pretty damn good. Not that far off the Dune buggy. The Bullet is, as I said, it is not the fastest of the supercars. Still set a fairly decent time though, of a 1:24.5. It puts it quicker than an Adder, which is quite surprising. I was expecting the Adder to be higher up this leaderboard. The Adder is not the fastest of the off-road cars. It puts it slightly behind Michael's Tailgate. That Tailgate has been pretty damn quick to have sat that position sat very near the top for quite so long. However, that is it for this video, guys, so thank you very much for watching. Next week, we're probably going to be doing some silly vehicles, and it may also be the final Downhill Chaos on GTA 5, because I have a plan. However, yeah, that is it for today, so until next time, goodbye.